Hey everyone, on this week's episode of Rachel Runs, we have personal trainer and fitness guru Tanya Rockovich. Today's show is brought to you by Southpaw Customs. Southpaw Customs is the official apparel brand of the Rachel Runs show. Southpaw Customs also designs and prints one-of-a-kind shirts, hoodies, and tumblers for large and small orders for businesses and individual orders. Visit spcustoms6.com. That's www.spcustoms6.com and tell Erica Rachel sent you. Also, make sure you help the show and purchase your official Rachel Runs gear by visiting www.spcustoms6.com and click on the Rachel Runs link. The Rachel Runs podcast is also brought to you by EBR Studio out of Feasterville, Pennsylvania. EBR Studio focuses on weddings, events, portrait, and product photography. EBR Studio is also the master at doing promo shoots and ad campaigns. I'm talking to you businesses and influencers. They are published worldwide, I know, because I've been on a few covers. If you have a wedding or event coming up, or if you're in the market for portraits or promo shots, go to www.ebrstudio.com. That's www.ebrstudio.com. Tell Bill Rachel sent you. EBR Studio is my official photographer and the official photographer of the Rachel Runs show. As you know, we're all about health and wellness here. I have a great new product for you. You've probably heard of it and seen it on Instagram. It's called Liquid IV. I've actually been using it for years, back when they were a smaller company. Now I'm blessed enough to be working with them. If you haven't tried it before, it is a great add-in to your water that you just mix with your water bottle. And one water bottle with one packet of Liquid IV, just one packet, is like drinking 3 water bottles. So it really is a hydration multiplier. This is fantastic for runners, athletes, and anybody that works out. Mix it in your water bottle before you go to the gym. Use it on your long runs, and runners in the summertime. This stuff is great. Now, best part is they've given me a really, really good promo code. All caps, Rachel_runs will get you not only 25% off your whole order, but free shipping. I don't know about you guys, but free shipping is like a big thing of mine with online shopping. So make sure you use my promo code, all caps, Rachel_runs. It's the same as my Instagram handle, and you will get 25% off and free shipping on your Liquid IV order.
T-minus 60 seconds and counting. Coming up on a go for auto sequence start. T-minus 17 seconds and counting. 15, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, start, 2, 1, boost ignition, and liftoff.
Doesn't make you a rock star. I can't go to Taco Bell. I'm on an all-carb diet. God, Karen, you are so stupid.
It's breakfast if you throw an egg on it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Rachel Runs. This week, our special guest is personal trainer and fitness guru, Tanya Rockovich. Hey, Tanya, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for coming on this week. I'm really excited to have like a fitness expert on. I think those are the best kind of guests, especially for our listeners, because you can give a lot of legitimate advice, tools, and tips.
Yes.
So
yeah, absolutely.
When did you exactly first get into personal training? Like what brought you into it and how long have you been doing it?
Okay, so I actually used to be an elementary school teacher. Fitness has been a part of my life forever. I was always the person that was trying to grab all of my friends, force them into the gym, to group fitness classes. I've always been all in when it comes to fitness, and it was always a part of my heart. And then I went to school to be a teacher, so I graduated and was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do now. And 5 years into it and 2 kids, I was done. I knew in my heart I had a passion and something that I wanted to investigate further, and that was my passion for fitness. I started early on teaching just cycling classes. That was my first kind of fitness class that I ever taught. And when I moved from Pittsburgh to Maryland, I got involved in Pilates. And so from there, I jumped right in to take a 500-hour comprehensive Pilates certification. And basically,
Wow.
I tell everyone just it's like college. So it's really in depth, super intense, lots of learning, anatomy, a lot of studying. And so I took that certification. And after that certification is when I started teaching reformer based Pilates, equipment based Pilates. And from there, I added on bar certifications. And then I started working privately with one on one clients when COVID happened. So I really didn't even actually think that was where I was going direction wise. I thought I was just going to be teaching group based fitness. And then I saw, people were in need of some one on one accountability. And so I was like, here, I can offer that. And yeah, so it has been, I left my teaching job. It has been over a year and a half now, maybe almost 2 years. And every single day, I'm just so thrilled to be doing what I love. It feels so authentic to me, and I just couldn't imagine doing anything differently now.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of where I feel I'm at in my life. Fitness has always been important to me since a young age, and then being a runner the last 10 years, and something in my gut really wants to go for a personal training certificate and pursue that. And hearing you say how much joy it brings you kind of motivates me to go for it. With COVID, you said it really brought you into one-on-one training, and I saw you have a lot of videos online. So I'm guessing that really is how you were able to do that.
Yeah, so what ended up happening, it was really interesting. So when COVID literally happened last year in March, rewind a year ago, I had a lot of clients that were interested in Zoom classes. And so, I was like, okay, I can do this. I'll jump in, try it out. And I started hosting these Zoom classes to just a couple people. And then they eventually spread by word of mouth. And I had 20 plus people coming to these Zoom Pilates classes. And in that moment, I thought, wow, I really have something here. I didn't, it just, it's something that just happened. It was really unplanned. And from there is when I started getting, the one-on-one clients, working with people. And I now have a whole online platform, which is all videos, which is what you said you were mentioning. So I teach a program basically, and I call it's the Toned program, and it's all online on-demand videos. I host some live classes, but that is sort of my way to reach more than just one person. I love my one-on-one clients, to be honest. They're great, and I feel like I can make such an impact in their lives. But some people don't want that much accountability. So the videos online have been great because I have a lot of clients that are just like, they want to hop on, they click and open a video, they play it, and they're done. We don't really, I check in with them, but there's not that one-on-one personal connection. But with, the way of the world now, I just feel like we're so video based and people want that. So,
and it's a much more affordable option too for people that need, they want to get fit but necessarily don't have the budget for, one-on-one personal training. Group fitness is much more affordable, but at least gives you the instruction and direction that you need.
Right, 100%. And I think that is why I'm so proud of the community that I've created. We are a community. We're a team of people, of women specifically, and we have a Facebook community where we stay in touch. And so that gives people kind of that extra motivation that they might get from going to a gym and seeing a bunch of people. It is hard whenever you're at home and you have to get your computer and press play. That isn't always, but I tell people, hey, you're home, put on your workout outfit like you're going to the gym. The gym is your computer. You grab it, you bring it wherever you have space, you press play. It's a non-negotiable. And it's like, I'm trying to really, one of my main goals as a trainer is to just kind of coach new habits, lifestyle habits that can make people healthier, long term. So, I'm really just, and you mentioned affordability. That is a big piece of what I do, is keeping it affordable, because I always say I'm not the only face or name in the game. I know that there's so many online fitness trainers that do not exactly what I do, but they have their own gig. Maybe dance cardio is your thing, maybe a more strength-based workout is your thing. And I want my program to be something that is either you can do it all in, or it can be supplemental, and it works because it's affordable. It's inexpensive for a year, and it gives you variety. You can try all these different trainers. They have all these different platforms, and you never have to see the same face every day, which I think is really, really important.
And now you were talking about healthy habits. What are some of your top tips, do you think, for anybody that's just starting out and pretty much has no clue of what direction to go in?
Oh, goodness. So I really, one of the main things I always talk to people about is just to get moving. It doesn't mean that you have to even necessarily press play on a workout. It just means that you're being a little bit more aware every day of, how long you're sitting. Are you, not realizing how many steps you're getting? Are you kind of, do you work at a desk all day? Can you take breaks throughout the day to stand up and maybe get a few steps in? So my biggest advice to people is always start small. Start with just getting your body moving. Maybe that's a light yoga class, a Pilates class. What happens to people a lot is they jump all in and they exhaust themselves. And so the workout program doesn't work long term because you're exhausted, you're burnout. It happens really quickly. And a lot of heart pumping workouts that are really fun, they're fun, but your body is just not made to go that hard all the time. So I always preach that, like, moderation to people, that you don't have to jump in. You just have to take a step, small step.
I completely agree. And actually, that's like one of my mottos, is that small changes lead to lasting results.
Yes.
Like, you can't just overhaul your whole life overnight. Pick one thing to focus on each week and build upon those habits. And maybe you'll be ready for more intense workouts down the line, but you have to have your foundation strong and ready for it. Because I think we've all gone to a class or done a workout, or I've gone on a run that was a little too long or a little too intense, and been sore the next day, and not sore in the good way, sore in the way that you're sore all week. And it kind of kills your motivation a little bit because you don't want to do it again. So you have to ease into some of these things.
Yeah, ease in, and your body needs that moment to kind of build up. You can't just expect it to do all the things you wanted to do overnight. I love that quote you said. I say that a lot myself. And then my other tips are also, of course, always, I always say, start your day with water. That is a non-negotiable. Before you even take a sip of anything else, I always tell my clients, chug a full glass of water, bottle of water, jumpstarts your digestion. It really, really helps just wake you up. Your body, it's not made to drink coffee first thing, right? So that is a really good health tip.
Don't drink enough, and and you can definitely feel the difference. I think on the days where I'm more tired, I'm like, did I drink any water today, like at all? And
exactly.
It's definitely something I'm working on, and I think it is hard because, one, we're all busy, and I think you forget a lot of times, especially at work. Some people don't necessarily like the taste of it. But I do think that's key. Like you said, that's a really good way to wake your body up in the morning.
And then it's you've already had it. So I try to drink my whole hydro flask, and I think it's either 32 ounces. So my goal is to finish that before I have my coffee. And so I always use a slice of lemon. I mean, that's an easy key. If you don't like the way it tastes, that's really helpful. But so at least I know, and I always tell people this, like, if that's all you get, and if you chug that in the morning, at least that's what you got, 32 ounces. If you're drinking other liquids, it's like you have that, and it kind of just, for me, it wakes me up. I feel like I'm a flower. Like I bloom once I'm hydrated. Water me, I bloom.
And I usually add something into my water. There are so many different options. You got liquid IV. There's like the Mio drops that you can get at the supermarket. There's a lot. You just have to be careful about the sugar and calorie content. But there are a lot of ways to flavor your water, or just the good old fashioned way of like a lemon and lime. It's always really good. So, make it work for you. But I think, if you just at least get that done in the morning, you're off to a good start for the day.
It's one thing. I always say, if you can do one thing, you're on your way.
Now, tell me a little bit more about your program, the Tone Studio. You said it's a lot of Pilates based
Yeah,
workouts.
yeah. So the Tone Studio program is a Pilates bar fusion, and so almost all of my workouts are a fusion of the two workouts. So a lot of them are just Pilates based, a lot of them are bar based. I typically note it in the workout explanation. This is going to be just Pilates. This is going to be just bar, but typically it's kind of a flow. So I call them flows, and they're a combination of the two. And then I also offer some sculpting exercises, which are using light weights, a little bit more traditional personal training movements. Going through upper body, lower body, core type workout. And I kind of mix in that Pilates bar into that as well. So all of my classes are typically always different. I try to mix it up, keep it, a mix of the workouts in a way that you're still targeting everything you want to target, and while also maintaining like that Pilates breath work and all the important aspects of Pilates always involved, whether it's the sculpting workout or the bar workout. I'm always talking about your breath. I'm always talking about your core, your pelvic floor, all of those areas. So it is a very healthy mix of all sorts of exercises, but I love that because, at least I think as a woman, I know that works. It's always worked for me. And I know everyone has a thing that they do, but I always tell, anyone, if you've never tried Pilates, you don't know what it can do for your body until you try.
It's honestly been years. I think I was a teenager when I did it, back like when you would get VHS tapes or like workout DVDs. And I do remember it being incredibly effective for toning.
Yeah.
Now, the part I can't remember, and actually I don't think I've ever tried any of the bar workouts. Do you find it sufficient for getting your heart rate up as far as like cardio? Because I'm not super familiar with them.
Yeah, so there are definitely varieties of either workout that you can add in some more cardio type intervals. I don't typically do that. I am working on some workouts that are going to be a little bit more cardio interval based, just to add to the library for people because some people do, prefer to add in a little bit of cardio. Sometimes in a bar class, what you'll find is the instructor usually gives options. Like if you want to ramp this up a bit, you can take it to a jump squat. If you want to get your heart rate up, like with the, if we're doing like lunges, like add a little jump, like in areas where you can kind of get the heart rate up. Or with the flow, I'm like, let's repeat this a couple times to get the heart rate up. So there are definitely some cardio aspects, but my recommendations typically to clients is, I always say one thing isn't enough. I want you to do this with me, but I also want you to find time on your own to do whatever cardio suits you, whether that's walking, running, cycling, all sorts of different, things. But, also I feel like everyone kind of is so different in what they need. So you have to listen to your body. If you feel like you need to get a little bit more cardio in, I totally recommend that. But if you're somebody that is like, I'm not a cardio person, I think that's fine. I don't think anybody has to be a cardio person. As long as you're moving your body throughout the day and you're not really sedentary, you don't need to go out for a run. But I think it's just listen to your body. But I'm definitely working on adding a little bit more cardio options to the program, just so that it's there for those people that do want that extra oomph.
And I think it's super refreshing so in your program you use light weights. Right now, like lifting heavy weights is super popular. It's very trendy, like the whole bodybuilding movement. And I do acknowledge the benefits of weightlifting. It is really good for bone health, especially as we age. But it's not like my favorite thing to do. I do like, strength training, but, I'm not lifting gigantic weights.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there's something to be said for using lighter weights and doing a different kind of movement, like especially with Pilates.
Mm-hmm.
A lot can be achieved with that. You don't necessarily have to lift heavy.
Yes, and so I tell people a lot, it's really the same, right? So if you have light weights and you do a lot of reps, or you have really heavy weights and you don't do as many reps, it's kind of like it's all the same. So you're doing the same things, but it's just targeting it just a little bit differently. And I know, I don't have any issue with lifting heavy. I've never been somebody that does that. I know a lot of people that are like, you should try heavier weights or you should do this. And I always tell my clients, like, if you've been doing this for a while and you want to grab a heavier set of weights, try it. You don't have to stick with 5s or even 3s or whatever it is. If you are feeling it, try it. Lift up the heavier set. I feel like that's important to definitely also give that boost, like if you need it, grab the heavier set. Why not? So, but for me, and I'm speaking from experience. Like I've worked with so many people throughout the years, and even teaching. I also teach at Club Pilates in person. A lot can be done with just resistance and light weights. And like you said, it works it in a different way that, like, I've gotten so sore from my workouts with threes with kind of no breaks, right? So you know how when you're lifting really heavy, you lift really heavy, then you take a kind of an extended break, and then you do it again, and then you take a break. With the really light weights, we're not taking any breaks, right? Until you're like, okay, I'm so fatigued, I gotta set my arms down, So when you're doing those movements over and over and over again, you're just shaping your body in a very, feminine isn't the right word. I don't want to make it strictly feminine.
No, of course. But I think people get what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. So, but it's shaping the existing muscles rather than making them larger, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I think that's probably what, I don't know if you would consider what makes your program different. I think, first of all, Pilates, I don't, like you said, there's a ton of fitness trainers on social media today, but most of them are geared towards like high intensity cardio or like heavy lifting. And I think your program is a little bit different. It's something that, like you said, your body is moving in a very different way. So I think it targets different muscles, especially small little muscles that you wouldn't normally reach during the day in the normal ways that you move.
Right. And when you turn them on, you realize it, you're like, wow, that was from that workout with the 3s, but I'm also somebody that, like you, exercise, fitness is such a large part of our lives. I want to do something, and I also want to coach people to do something that is sustainable forever. And so Pilates and body weight exercises are something that you can do over and over and over again and not kill your body. And so I think, any sort of workout as women, especially, that isn't going to provoke or like add stress hormones into our lives is just going to ultimately be so beneficial. So as, women, we want to avoid things that spike cortisol. And so Pilates is super lower intensity. It's not meant to get you hype. It's meant to make you breathe deeply and feel good and also lower that stress hormone. So I think
that was a huge realization to me. I think it was on our second episode. We had her name was Tracy, and she deals a lot with like nutrition and hormones, and that's one of the things she mentioned was the cortisol levels spike when your heart rate gets really up there and doing super intense or stressful workouts, which for me as a runner is not a good thing. And I had no clue. So like now that I'm getting older, I'm like, okay, so I need to incorporate a lot of other types of exercises throughout the week and not just running, more weightlifting, or, now I'm really curious about trying yours out because I'm putting such a stress on my body, which I always thought, okay, I'm running, I'm doing something good for my body. But as you get older, those cortisol levels, when they spike, that like leads directly to belly fat, which is like the worst thing for all of us. So it's become more important than ever to maintain your stress and things like that. But you would never think that exercise could actually increase it, but it can, which is super unfair.
Yeah, it's super unfair. And I think that the tough thing for a lot of people to realize, you have a lot of people that have been doing these like HIIT workouts and CrossFit, and they think like, wow, this is my thing, this is my jam. But I always say, you cannot have just one thing. And like you said, you're a runner, that's great, but like, how can you implement some other things that can not only ultimately benefit you, but also benefit your running, your exercise.
It does. That it really is important for injury prevention.
Yes.
to do strength training, and I've learned that the hard way, especially earlier on in my running career. But now, especially as a woman getting older, I'm like, okay, I got to do a little bit more strength training, toning, yoga, things like that, for my body so that it's, in shape in other ways. But I think Pilates is probably a good combination of getting your heart rate up just enough for a workout, but you're not putting your body under a lot of stress.
Right.
And I think that's pretty appealing.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that a lot of people don't know Pilates. What they know of Pilates, they know it as, like you said, the tapes that, my mom used to do. That's what I hear a lot, Oh, yeah, my mom used to do like
Yeah,
Pilates
I remember
tapes.
there was an infomercial back then, and it was popular. I think my mom was the one that bought it, and
Yeah.
it was really good. I forget why I even stopped, but they were really good. I remember my abs were super toned from it. So
Yeah.
it is really, I think it just isn't like in the forefront right now,
Yes.
but it is a really good option,
Yeah,
especially for
yeah.
toning.
It's different, and I think people think that, okay, Pilates is you get this mat, you lay there, and they're like, what am I they don't know until they know. And so once you try it, you're like, wow, this is actually super effective. The hardest part is getting something to try, somebody to try something when they're so used to either not doing anything or doing a different type of program that maybe like you said, like gets their endorphins running, like they're just like, that's, it draws them in. So it takes a couple classes for people to realize that it's doing something really good for your body. So usually after, 9 or 10 classes, you start to already see a difference, and this is like maybe 30-minute classes. This doesn't have to be hours of time.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the benefit of incorporating that a couple times a week into your schedule.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned you use light weights in the course, and I remember looking on your page, and you have like ankle weights, and I guess they're wrist weights too, which are pretty neat.
Yeah, I love those, the Ballas. I literally recommend those to anybody and they are the most amazing fitness tool. I used to have those, right? You probably had them too, like the sand ones, the big ones that you wore on your legs
I had
and
the big
arms.
sand ankle weights. I think I actually still have a pair.
Yeah, so I actually used to use those back in college, and so when I saw these like trendy, chic looking ones come out, I had to have them. And they are amazing. They make them in either, I think it's 1 pound and 2 pounds or 1 pound and 3 pound, but they add that extra oomph that a lot of people are looking for. So if you are like so used to taking a Pilates or yoga class, you throw those puppies on, you're like, whoa.
Oh, so you can really start with no weights and then gradually add those. So, now, how do you say, what are they called again? Ballas?
Balla Bangles is what the brand is Balla, B-A-L-A, and the bracelets or the wrist weights, ankle weights are called Bangles, which is really cute. They're like jewelry.
Yeah, they're on your Facebook page. I saw the Tone Studio, and they were really super cute. I think they even matched the workout outfit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can get them in so many colors, and like you said, I definitely wouldn't recommend just throwing them on and going through a class, because I want people to feel the workout in their own body. And that's really important to me. Like, learn what your body can do and then add the weights, add the extra, add the band. But first, practicing the postures, especially for Pilates with nothing, is really, really important, because you learn form and you want to make sure you have really good form. It's just like weightlifting. You're not going to lift heavier until you have that form down. So it's very similar. Get the postures, the movements down, and then add those weights, and then feel the burn. That comes later. You feel the burn always, but
I'm real big on form. It's like a pet peeve of mine, because I know people will try to push themselves, whether it's running like harder and faster during like a specific workout, or like in the gym lifting super heavy, but it's compromising their form. And I think it's just not worth it. Like let the weight go, like pick up a lighter one, or slow down your pace and focus on your form first before you graduate to the next level.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's so important. And for what I do, that's part of the reason why I love working with women one-on-one, especially when I can see them, right, on virtual phone calls or Zoom calls. certain things are meant to be done with good form. You can't fake that. And a lot of people don't even know what that means. So when you look at somebody and say, roll your shoulders back and down, they don't realize what they're doing, right? They're like, oh, my shoulders are here, So it's always about bringing body awareness, or, positions of the spine, a neutral spine, a rounded spine, letting people know what that means and what that feels like. And, it's just something that is super, super, super important. And you get more effective exercise whenever you focus on proper form.
So Tanya, you have 2 kids, correct?
Yes, I do. I have a 4-year-old and a 20-month-old.
Oh my goodness, that's pretty. I mean, that's still, I mean, that's under 2. So one of the questions I got was about postpartum fitness, postpartum weight loss. I think that's every woman. I think that's a really big struggle, especially in social media, because we see people bounce back so quickly. And I do think there are people posting now about the reality of it and that it's not super easy to bounce back so quickly. What was your experience like with it?
Yeah, so I love that lately the whole bouncing back term is getting a lot of attention, just because for me, both of my children, I was definitely very fortunate that I did not have really a lot of weight specific struggles. You know, I can't really say that I did anything super different than anybody else. I definitely was very conscientious during my pregnancies, making sure that I ate enough because, I'm growing 2 tiny humans at different times in my life, but also just making sure that during both of my pregnancies that I wasn't, binging, or I never had the mindset, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm going to go I'm going to go crazy, eat whatever I want, 15 cupcakes. And I'm also not saying that everybody does that either. I think there's a definite balance there, but I knew that I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of different women that losing weight postpartum is really tough. And it is. And for a lot of women, it's even harder than others. And I think that also is a genetic thing. I think it's not really something that you can say is just specific to your habits. I really do think some people just have that in their genetics, that they, have a baby and they look the same again. But, I always tell people to keep in mind that, they may look like, oh, they bounced back, quote unquote, but really there's still that, like, that puffy area, whether they definitely look smaller. Well, duh, because they just birthed a baby. But, that small is still, there's that extra around your tummy. And, I had 2 C-sections, so I couldn't exercise for, I think it was 8 weeks. And then even after that, yeah, even after the 8 weeks, it's like you can walk. You don't want to pull your tummy in any weird areas or directions. So a lot of exercises are definitely out of the question. So I right away with both of my kids was just very active. So they were born and I was up and out, taking them for walks. Walking was a big part of my C-section recovery for me. It was just my way of getting kind of back into the flow of fitness. That was what I did. I just walked. I got
And
up.
I'm sure it's good for your mental health too, because
Oh, yeah.
your hormones are crazy afterwards. I mean, your body, and
Yeah.
especially with the C-section, that's major abdominal surgery, and even,
Yes.
any kind of birth, it's a lot on your body. So I do
Yeah.
think there's something to be said for when you're able to, again, getting moving, especially just walking. Walking is so good for you, and it can be your time of self-care,
Yeah.
to get some
And when
endorphins
you have
flowing.
Yeah, and when you have, the baby, you have a stroller, I just say, it's hard if it's cold where you live, definitely. You don't want to take the baby out, but I gave birth. My first daughter was in September and my second daughter was July, and so I was just really lucky to be able to like get out right away. They were born and they were in the stroller and I was taking them on walks. I definitely didn't just like have my babies and have abs again. That's definitely not what happened. Though
Even
to
if
a
you
lot of
are
people,
slim, like you said, you're going to be swollen. Like that's just the
yes,
woman's uterus. It takes, I believe it's months to shrink
yes,
back down to its normal
yeah,
size.
yeah. So that puffiness, it's there, but I think, I always had the attitude postpartum that I was just so proud, like, of what had happened that I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, wow, I look great. It didn't matter to me that, there was, even though it's like I'm harder on myself now than I was then. Like after that, I'm like, I'm a superhero. I just went through I just had a tiny human inside of me for, how long, and they're out now. Isn't this crazy? They're walking outside of me, which is just so insane. But, I really, I hope other women have that, idea that they can look at themselves, and instead of saying, oh, this does not look the way I want it to look, or I wanted to look a lot different, or, why does this woman look so good post, when you really should just look at yourself and say, wow, you know, I just went through a lot. I birthed a human and I look good. I'm
And
proud of
especially in the
myself.
beginning, be kind to
Yes,
yourself and
yeah,
give yourself some
yeah,
time to recover from all of that. And,
yes.
bond with your baby. And remember,
Hmm.
that was the most important thing of all of this, is that you brought life into the world, but to be kind to yourself, because it is really
Yeah,
difficult. I don't even have kids, and being on social media, I mean, what we see every day, people that look perfect, that's difficult. And
yeah.
then especially if you're a new mom, I'm sure it's difficult not to compare yourself to other moms on social media.
Yeah, in comparison, for everything, all of the things you see, especially as a new mom, everyone has all the newest things. It is it's a struggle. But, and with both of my kiddos, I've had people comment like, wow, you really snapped back, or wow, you bounced back so fast. And, you know, I just, you say thanks, but deep down, to me, that always seemed kind of that's just not what I'm about. So it's not something I really feed into. I wouldn't be like, yeah, like girl, I snap back.
But
It's
you also
more
worked
like,
for it, and I think you took care of yourself
yeah,
before, during, and after.
exactly,
But
exactly.
it wasn't the main point of it. You did it to be
Yeah,
healthy and bring a healthy baby into the world.
exactly. So I think that's what, if I were to like write a really lengthy comment to somebody saying like, oh wow, you look so good, it would more be like, yeah, I really did try my best to take care of myself for, the months that I was pregnant. And, postpartum, same thing. I stuck to the habits that I knew were not only healthy for me. I breastfed both of my babies. I just stopped breastfeeding my second daughter actually a couple months ago. She was a longer, my first daughter I breastfed until she was a year old. And then my second was more like 14, 15 months. And you have to eat a lot when you're breastfeeding. And a lot of people are like, oh, breastfeeding makes you lose so much weight. And I'm like, not really, not for everybody. So I think that the most important thing that you've touched on so many times is that you cannot compare yourself to somebody on the internet. You cannot compare yourself to even your friend who breastfed and snapped back, or maybe your friend that is struggling, with weight loss postpartum. And I think, all of us just need to look at that moment in time. And you said it too, like, wow, this moment in time was such a huge part of my life, and I need to focus on all of the good parts of it rather than how, like how I look. Though it's not easy to be unhappy with yourself either. So that is why, I work with so many new moms. That is actually because I'm a mom, I think that I have that specialty that people that have had kids often come to me, and, with these kind of troubles. And like mentioned, people have questions about that. And I want people to get back to feeling however they feel good. If they need to be smaller to feel good, great. But I'm always helping them focus on long-term healthy habits so that they can live this life and be happy with
And
themselves,
enjoy
rather
those
than just
moments.
rather than a quick solution. Like, hey, I definitely could tell you how to lose a lot of weight really quickly. Is it going to be sustainable? Absolutely not.
And are you going to be
So
happy doing it? You don't want to starve
right,
yourself, or,
right,
be crazy with working out. Do it in a way that
right.
feels good for your body, so that you're happy
Exactly.
and
That,
enjoy, your life. It's not
yes.
any fun. It's not that fun to be skinny if you're hungry all the time, or always
Yeah,
working out
it's
and not
not.
present in your life.
Yeah, and so I think that I try to really like I tell people that I'm like, you don't want to work with me if you want somebody that's gonna steal a cookie from your hand, or whatever, those phrases about like whatever people that, trainers that are like, you know making you check your calories. Like I will definitely help anybody put together a meal plan that is consisting of mostly whole, healthy foods. I can definitely give recipe ideas, especially if you have kids, because I've been there. But you know, I want people to live a happy and full life, and that to me means enjoying it, like you said. And restriction isn't enjoyable for anybody. So you know, I really just really help people try to strike a balance between getting back to who they want to be. And again, that for a lot of people is like fitting into your jeans, whatever, that's totally cool. But also feeling good to keep up with your family and your kids, to me is so important. You know, you can't do those things and you can't be fully present, like you mentioned, if you're not feeling good about yourself. So, you know, how can I help you do both? Feel good about yourself, but also live a full and happy life too.
Now, one of the challenges, especially since you have two kids, is finding that time to work out. What advice do you have for women, and when do you fit it into your schedule usually?
I love this question. And I actually was just discussing it with a friend of mine, and I had explained it to her. I said, early on, again, with my first daughter, so as soon as I was cleared truly to exercise after my first C-section, I had a cycling bike. So this was back when Peloton was just starting. So I didn't have a Peloton, but I had a spin bike at home. And Peloton at the time had released the app. So I started taking cycling classes on my phone. You know, I'd prop it up on my spin bike and I'd spin. And when the baby was little, you know, I brought her down. I'd sit her in her little chair and right in front of me where she could see me, and she'd watch me, you know. And I did that with both of my kiddos. And I said, I think one of the things that's really important to me is that women especially don't think that taking the time to take care of themselves is a negative thing, and that your children should see that. They should see you including these healthy habits in your day. So a lot of the times I tell people, include your children. Like if you have to get a workout in, lay your mat out and do it. Like while they're watching whatever they're watching, you can be in the same room as them, you know. Yeah, they might kind of pester you and annoy you, but they learn. Like my daughter knows now. She's like, "Are you doing Pilates?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay." Like, you know, they have to see it and they have to be exposed to it in order for them to understand that, hey, this is a part of my mom's life, you know. She's taking care of herself. And what a beautiful thing for women to not feel bad about taking care of themselves. You know, I know so many people that are like, I just can't, you know, I don't have time, or I'm home and my kids are crawling all over me or whatever. And so once they're not little anymore, you can't just set them in a chair and be like, you sit here and I'm going to do this. But, you know, I think I try to offer some mommy and me classes too, where, you know, you can include your kids, include your children, pick them up, you know, do a couple squats holding them, or, you know, just, I think involving them in it so that it's more of an activity that you don't have to feel bad about. And also it's giving them a positive influence. And then also, I think on the other side of that is, you know, enlisting somebody for help. And so working out, exercise is a very, very important part of anyone's self-care routine, or at least it should be. And so it should matter to you enough that if you can't, you know, find enough quiet time or you can't focus, you know, ask your spouse or partner, hey, I need 30 minutes to go for a walk or a run just by myself. I think that is another thing that it's almost like, you know, so many people are afraid, again, to take the time for themselves. But this is your, you know, your mental health, you know. You can't be the mom or the person you want to be with an empty cup. So you've got to fill yours so you can fill everybody else's. And so that is my advice, is just, you know, if you can't make it work with them there, you know, carve out the time. You know, if you don't have a partner, neighbors, anybody that can help you out, you know, older children. And just again, it should be something that your family looks at as a positive thing, a positive influence that,
It's
hey,
not selfish at
mom's,
all.
no, mom's taking care of herself. This is her 30 minutes. This is her 45 minutes, her hour. She's taking care of her. And that's really important. So always know that you definitely in a mom's life, you know, it's so hard to put yourself first, but you deserve a place. And I think that you don't have to be first all the time, but there are definitely some days where it's okay to say, this is my time for me.
And 30 minutes a day shouldn't be such a big deal to want for yourself, especially because it's something that's
No.
healthy for you. And it's, like you said, being a good role model for your kids. But it's funny because, we would think nothing of a father on his way home from work stopping at the gym for an hour. Like
I
we
know.
would never
Yeah.
think anything of it. And I think, as women, we're
Mm-mm.
it's in our brain that when we do things for ourselves, it's selfish.
Yes,
And and
exactly.
honestly, I refer to myself as a selfish person all the time because I don't have any kids, so I'm allowed to be right now. But
Right.
you know, my focus is on my projects, my fitness, running, all that. But is it really selfish, or you're just taking care of yourself? And there's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. It shouldn't be a bad
No.
thing.
And I think, I think a lot about conversations that I've had with women that are, struggling with that, with doing things for themselves. And it's almost like I want to take them and shake them and be like, you matter too, like why do you think that you don't matter? Why do you think that you wanting to do something for yourself is so like out of the question,
And just becoming a
And
mom
I
doesn't erase you as a person. You are
no,
still
exactly.
valued and important, if so more than
Right.
ever,
And I
because those little humans are dependent on you. So if anything, you're
yes.
more important than ever.
Yes, you cannot be your best self. You cannot be your best self for anybody until you take care of you first. And so that is definitely something I hope that that message touches somebody that listens, that, you matter, take the time for you. Your kids are not going to grow up and be like, wow, mom exercised for 45 minutes a day every day. Like, really? They're not going to think that. They're going to, if anything,
They're going to remember
that's
that
going to
their
be a,
mom was
yeah,
healthy and
yeah,
fitness was,
they're going to remember that.
in the household. It was an important part of,
Right.
growing up. Everybody was healthy and into fitness. And,
Yes.
my mom always worked out I remember it as a kid, and that's a good thing. I think it rubbed off on me at an earlier
Yeah,
age because of it. So if anything, I
definitely.
think
And
it's
that's
doing your kids
that's
a
right.
favor.
Exactly. It's an influence that they will remember as something positive. And again, we're all worth it. We're all worth the time.
Now, your Facebook page is called The Tone Studio, and they can find you on there, but also what is your Instagram handle?
Yes. So my Instagram name is the Tone Studio as well. It is that is my fitness only. So I have two Instagram accounts, and the Tone Studio account is where I post, I will post workout tips. I promote my live and on-demand classes on there. I post recipes. I, you know, post inspiration. I try to keep it a community feel. Whereas my personal Instagram is more like pictures of my kids and pictures of, me. Like I also have a little love of, fashion and, clothing and
Yes,
that kind of
and they can
thing.
find you
So
on the Like to Know It app too.
yes, yes. I have on my other account, Tanya Rockovich on Instagram. I, do a little bit of fashion stuff on there. And that's my other thing. So, but I definitely try to keep the Tone Studio strictly a health and wellness community. And I want it to be all about empowering you and helping you love your body and love yourself the way you are now, but also making strides and changes. Oh, okay. Making strides and changes to get better. There's nothing wrong with, yes, I want you to love yourself now, but there's also nothing wrong with wanting more for yourself either. So I think that's important, and I
No,
want people to know that
and
too.
your page is definitely positive and fun and uplifting. And like you said, it definitely has a community feel to it. So it's, you're going to feel welcome going there. Um,
Yes, yeah.
would you say that Instagram is the best place for everybody to reach you if they want to know more about the Tone Studio?
Yes. So I'm very active on Instagram. Ask my husband.
I know
But
they all complain about it, whatever.
yeah, they do. It's a thing, but I'm very active on there. I mean, I tell them, I'm like, this is my business. This is my livelihood. This is, I'm not just on there scrolling and liking pictures. I'm connecting with people every day from all over the world, which to me, what better way to do business? It literally is, it's there for us, use it. So, but yeah, so, in DMing me on Instagram is definitely, a good way to get in touch. I check Facebook pretty frequently as well, but Instagram is definitely the way to go. So if you have a question about the program or are wanting to talk to me about a consultation about private one-on-one training, or you just kind of have any related question, or you just want to chat, definitely hit me up in the DMs on Instagram.
So it's at The Tone Studio on Instagram and Facebook. And then your personal page, if they want to shop the fun fashions on your Like to Know It app, it's Tanya Rockovich. Now your name is spelled Tanya. So it's not Tanya, it's Tanya. And then Rockovich is Rokkovich.
It's Rockkovich. It's so funny. Perfect. So I went from having like a really crazy long last name to having like kind of another unique last name. I always thought,
when I think about it, it makes sense. Rock, Rockovich. Yeah. So it makes sense. But
I love
so
it.
again,
I love that.
So everybody can find you on Instagram, Facebook, and the Like to Know It app. I know some people are new to the Like to Know It app and don't know what it is, but it's like the mecca of shopping, where you can get, if you're just a user using it, you can download it and pretty much find recommendations for home decor, everyday style, fitness products. I mean, anything you can think of, you can pretty much find inspiration for on there.
I don't know why anyone is shopping anywhere else, truly. I always say to my friends, I'm like, this is basically people are picking out, they've done it. They've tried the trends. They've picked out things that they think are good, recommending things to you. There's no reviews. You don't need to read reviews. Like people, real life people you can look at, find influencers.
What sizes we bought, whether it fits or not. I mean, it's super helpful for that reason, because
so helpful.
You can find somebody that's a similar size to you and know that something's going to fit if you buy it. So I mean, that app's awesome. It's definitely, it's probably spend nearly as much time on there as Instagram. But they can find you on there too.
But it's really cool too around holidays. If you are shopping for someone or you need recommendations, there's so much, like there's so many gift ideas on there. And it really, again, it's just hand curated, hand picked.
Makes Christmas shopping a breeze. And also usually we post exclusive deals and things like that people might not know about, or like promo codes. So it's super helpful. So they can find you on there as well. Thank you so much for coming on today. Again, everybody, you can find out more about the Tone Studio on Tanya's Facebook page at the Tone Studio, her Instagram at the Tone Studio, and also her personal Instagram, Tanya, Tanya Rockovich, Rokkovich. Thank you so much, Tanya.
Thank you so much, Rachel. This was such a pleasure. I really, really appreciate you having me, and I'm so flattered. So thank you so much.
Thank you. If you're interested in becoming an official sponsor for the Rachel Runs podcast, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is Rachel_runs. Or contact me through email, rgrant.5518@gmail.com.